Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to have everyone today for the webinars on sustainability conducted by the Malaysia Productivity Corporation (MPC). Right. So my name is Dr. Muhammad Diana bin Abdul Rahman. I'm from the University Putra Malaysia School of Business and Economics. Regarding these sustainability webinars organized by the NPC, there will be a series of topics that we are going to discuss throughout the years. And I hope that you're still with us, okay, for the rest of the webinars. But today, we are going to discuss on the very specific topics that entice and attract attention for every one of you with regard to the circular economy. And for that, we have a very special guest, the previous one, and I believe she will deliver a very good topics today that's entitled One Step Forward in the Circular Economy, Producing Industry Evidence. Before that, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today. She is Professor Datin Sri Dr. Suhaiza Hanim binti Datuk Muhammad Zainali. How are you, Prof? How are you?
Yeah, fine. Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Fantastic. She is a professor at the Department of Operation and Management, Information System, Faculty of Business and Accountancy, University of Malaya. And I believe Professor has very all this ability to deliver our speech today because she obtained her PhD in Lancaster University. And her area of expertise is logistics supply chain. And she has been actively published her research work that is related to logistics and supply chain as early as 1998. And I believe during that time I was taking my UPSR. And she also involved.
That shows how old am I now?
No, you're still pretty, of course. Involved in conference and proceedings, and also a lot of consultation projects and multiple recognition and awards she received in national and international. So it's not about her CV, but it's more of about her work that related to the topic today. So without further ado, Prof, yes, for the audience, you are allowed to ask questions. Yeah, Prof will present her works. While she presenting, you can ask question along the way. You type your question at the right hand side of these webinar panels, and I will read up on behalf of you. Yeah, it is a kind of interactive kind of presentation rather than one-way one. So without further ado, Prof, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Daniel, as the moderator for the sessions today. Okay, Assalamualaikum. Very good morning to all the viewers or participants of the webinar for this session this morning. Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank you to MPC for inviting me again, yeah, to my third webinar with MPC to share the findings from the research that we have conducted, yeah, on the topic of the circular economy. With regards of that, you know, I also would like to express my huge gratitude to all the participants or to all the respondents that have participated in the survey that we have done recently in December 2020. Yeah. Okay, next. Okay, the agenda for today's session mainly to discuss or to highlight the important points that from the findings that we have. Definitely, you know, that will be the key agenda for today's session. Besides that, I'll also be talking a little bit about the opportunities emerged from the findings. And as we know that the research actually is the MPC's think tank. So again, the implications, the contributions will be back to the MPC to come up with the future action plans with regards to the circular economy. That actually we hope, yeah, from this research. Okay, next. Okay, we can see here, I mean, that's kind of a circle, the three circles. Okay, as we aware that most and you know, lots of the organizations, the firms in business in Malaysia, they actually have adopted or they merged this sustainability thinking into their business strategies because they recognize the importance and the benefit of doing it, for the future ability or the future visibility. So there are so many kind of initiatives that actually most companies that have implemented. For example, they try to limit the use of raw materials, they reduce the waste, they increase the efficiency of the energy, for example. And these are quite common initiatives with regards to the sustainability thinking that been adopted by most of the companies. And we can see here, despite the progress that we move along, from the green economy that we have actually back 10 years, and then we move to the SDGs 12. It will be more focused on the sustainable consumption and production. Now we move along to the circular economy. But along the way, there's a consensus with regards to the status, the current status on what actually our status, whether we are far ahead or we are left behind in terms of the performance of all this sustainability thinking. Yeah, I would like to take attention of these SDG reports that actually we have from 2020. It shows that Malaysia is at the rank of 60 from the 166 countries that have been evaluated or assessed, and our index score is only 71.8. So why we are at rank 60 and we are below than Thailand? So it must be a reason to what extent actually we are achieving this kind of index score. So that would be the the focal point of the research that we have done. So as I said just now, while companies are more and more embedded the sustainability thinking into their business agenda, nevertheless, the growth still remain. Because why? Most of the companies still remain with the traditional concept or way of doing business by using the linear model. Yeah, in order to gain more benefit, to gain more kind of impact from this accessibility, the companies must move away from the linear concept. They have to now embed the circular model into their business. And but they must not only just focus on reducing the waste or reducing the raw materials, right? They need to add or to develop a new value, which from materials that can close the loop. And moreover, they need also to introduce or to develop a new kind of innovative propositions, to the customer, so that the customer will have or to enjoy the product more longer than the usual one, or they can be more aware to what can be done with all the used product to be recycled back to the company, right? Although we have seen there are so many kind of statements, there's so many kind of research being done on this circular economy or sustainability agenda, but more of them are talking about less aware, less concerned about sustainability, but we don't even know to what extent. So therefore, the research that we have been conducted across the industry, across the sectors, is to answer the following questions. What are those drivers? What are those purpose the company actually embed with the sustainability thinking into their business model? And what are the good applicable business model with regards to the circular economy? I think that the end of the presentations today, we can see, the contributions will be back to MPC as the owner of the project to sit down, to look into what are those agenda that we can improve the industry to move forward in terms of the security of their business. Yeah. Okay, next. Before we talk about the findings, I would like to discuss a little bit about the SCOR model, which actually reflect to the supply chain operations reference. As we know, regardless you are in manufacturing or you are in the services, you cannot run away from the supply chain. So what does it mean by supply chain? Yeah, supply chain is like those companies being connected, having the same agenda, having the same objectives to make the end user enjoy with their services, to make the customers satisfied with their product. But let's say that we are, as the focal company, we do have the sustainability thinking in our company. How about our customers? How about our suppliers? Are they also having the same thought of us, but with us? Because we are depending on our suppliers to get the materials, and we are depending on our customers to enjoy the product and to help us to return back the used one for us to recycle or reproduce. But if we are alone, have the sustainability thinking in our process, and the whole circle, the whole of the closed loop supply chain, it will be happen. Now it has to be throughout the supply chain to have the same agenda towards the sustainability thinking. So there are activities that need to be more focused here. You've thought about how do we go about doing it. You're talking about source, because we are depending on the suppliers to get the sources. We have to depend on them to get the materials. Make sure the material and design of product that be continually be generated, or it can be recycle or redesign to make it as a new product, for example. Yeah. And in the next activity will be on the production side, making the product to become as end product. So we need to be fully utilize the assets, the equipments, the capabilities, and the resources that we have from the supplier, but along with the sustainability thinking. Yeah. And then to deliver, because customers won't get our product if we are not delivered to them. Again, this also can be one of the point that we need to look into on how we can have the circular economy in our delivery process. And to the end, the customers also need to play little bit role here to have the sustainable consumption. They're not only enjoying the product, they're not only enjoying the service, but they need to aware, concerned about the impact of using that product. What can be done after they have used that product? They cannot just dispose. They need to be, to take some actions whether it can be returned back to the company. So this is a new kind of ways how people are doing the circular business, that the whole players in the chain, they are being integrated with the same thinking of the sustainability. Yeah, next. Yes, yeah. Okay, this is the more important point, that we should be more focused on the findings of the research that we have conducted. Yeah, is about industry views. Yeah, we try to assess what kind of perceptions, what kind of views that most of the managers have that related to the circular economy, and it's across the industry that we have surveyed. Yeah, next. Yeah. Okay. So who we talk to for the industry? Because why? As I said just now, without the respondents, without the industry, definitely we don't have the data. And one thing that I would like to address here, looking back the SDGs 12, yeah, one of the comment given from the report says that the data for the SDG 12 is not available. So it's a bit surprising, because SDG 12 is related to the sustainability consumption and production, and in fact it claimed that there is no data available on that. So we keep saying, that the companies are not aware, companies are less concerned about the sustainability, but then where is the data? So I think that now I think most of the researchers are more keen, more interested to explore, the views of the respondents coming from the industry, to keep it, as our database to where we are going or heading into the supply chain circular economy agenda. Yeah. So the purpose of the survey that we have done, was basically to understand the starting point of Malaysian firms in the adopting the circular economy principles. And what are the contents? We have a few questions, and then more related to the circular economy in terms of the drivers, the barriers, the business model, and the impact to their operational performance. Yeah, and then we have actually surveyed 500 samples, yeah, across the industry to look into of these security thing. Yeah, nevertheless, because of the short of time, because the period of collecting data, it was only 2 months, started from December 2020 until January 2020, and it's all done by online survey. I think it is one of the I would say could be the limitations of the study, to because at the end we only received 102 response, yeah, from that 500 that we have surveyed, yeah. And the response rate from the survey, it was 20.4%. It looks a little bit low, but statistically actually it can be considered quite good, because this is only like inductive kind of study, because we are trying to get the views, perceptions of the respondents, yeah. At the end, we can use the findings a little bit to generalize, the whole industry in the Malaysian context, yeah. And who will be respondents to the survey? We managed to get 40%, in the total of our respondents coming from the directors and MD level. And following that, we have 23% coming from the executive level, and the rest will be engineers level. So I would say the reliability, the validity of the response are quite accepted, because those respondents they were actually at the high level of management. Yeah. And then, not to be surprised, most of them are males, yes, 68%, and the rest actually females. And then 74% were those companies that actually been operated less than 10 years, and 21% between 11 to 30 years. So roughly what we can say here, perhaps the firms that we have surveyed, they are quite established in terms of the process, in terms of the business. Therefore, a little bit, the sustainability thinking might be already been emerged in their business strategies. Yeah. Okay. Next. Okay. What I would say here, from the 8 sectors that have responded, yeah, majority are there coming from the electrical and electronics industry, yeah, which actually comprise about 29%. Following this is coming from the food and beverages, as well the services. Nonetheless, we can see, from palm oil products, 12%. We have from rubber, 11%, as well from plastic, and the least coming from the energy and automotive. So it will be a good kind of exposure to look into the differences among the industry that we have surveyed in terms of their level of circular economy adoptions. Yeah, and then in terms of the profiling of the firms that we have surveyed, we can see here, it can be divided into the size. I can see the size play a very important role to indicate the level of the adoption. Yeah, so we have surveyed in terms of number of employees, as well the annual sales turnover. And I would say majority of them actually already in the business quite sometimes, as well. They are quite in terms of annual sales, they are quite established. Yeah, so but little bit varies among all these industry that we have surveyed or analyzed. Yeah. Okay, next. Okay, the most thing that we love to see, what do they think about the sustainability concerns, to have the sustainability agenda, to have the sustainability thinking in the business. They need to be, what do I get at the end of the day from these sustainability things? Because we know the more they are putting the sustainability thinking into the business, they are open up greater opportunity for the competitive advantage to get new markets, new products, or new customers. And we can see most of the surveyed companies or surveyed industries, they do have strong perceptions or views about the importance of the sustainability into their future growth. Yeah, we can see all the blue lines. Yeah, indicates that from electrical electronics company, automotive, rubber, plastic, energy, palm oil, as well as the services, they do claim that there is some kind of influence of the sustainability concerns into their business growth. Unlike food and beverages. Food and beverages do not think so. They do think that, only some influence. So I would say here, perhaps, there could be a demographic profile. Why the food and beverages companies that they think about the sustainability concerns are not really have a strong influence towards their business growth. So if we can explore further the reasons why, then it would be good enough for us to help them how to move up to be more concerned about the sustainability. Yeah. Okay. Next. Next. Okay. This another point that we have surveyed, or we have asked in the question about their views on the circularity. This actually is the starting point, for them to have a clear picture. What would be the reasons that they need to go for the circular economy? Because if they not really understand, they not really capture the essence of the importance of the circular economy, it will be hard for them, to implement or to get along with the government's agenda to look into all these sustainability development. Yeah. So as we can see here, I mean, we have actually asked question with regards to the minimizing the extraction of new materials, reducing waste, replacing the fossil fuels, ensuring the products that can be recycled, adapting business models to CE, and so on and so forth. Along all these views, what I would say, love to say that most of the respondents do give a significant response that the most important about security is about reducing the carbon footprint. Actually it gives us about 25% of the respondents agree to that. That one of the reasons why this circular economy is in the view of security is about reducing the carbon footprint, and following that is about reducing the waste, right? So we can see here is more on the operational kind of perspective that people are looking why this security is important. Yeah. Besides, generate more opportunity for the competitive advantage by having new products, new market, or new customers. Yeah, it is more on the production side. Yeah, so this is good enough. Yeah.
All right, right. So it's really interesting when you say that there are sustainability concerns among the industries, and as well as most of them are views this security as reducing carbon footprint and reducing waste. But there is one question from our attendees here, Mr. Sorry, it is Mr. Murali.
Okay, Murali, Mr. Murali.
Yeah, already before this, he mentioned, he asked about on the extended producer responsibility,
Yeah.
which is yeah. So it might be that they know that they have like these views on this sustainability and they're concerned about it, and it would be that it is something that an extended producer responsibility with regard to this kind of sustainability things.
Okay, in fact, what mentioned here, I mean, looking at the approach of going to the security principles, there could be many ways. What actually that we have listed in our survey, it was like confined into these kind of views. I'm not really say that what Mr. Murali has the idea about the security. It can be in many forms. Actually, it can be related to the security. But what we have, observed from the findings that we have from this aspect that we have surveyed, it shows that we can put some kind of conclusion that that majority of the firms actually they are more on the operational level in terms of their views about the security. It can be could be other reasons. It could be other reasons. That's why if you can look deeper, even the green economies, even we look at the reverse logistics, they are also play some kind of same kind of views with regards to the reducing carbon footprint, reducing waste. Even we're talking about green logistic, we're talking about green supply chain, more or less about the same views. But now what we're trying to do is to capture, in what ways people understood the meaning of security. Because why? The more they understood about the meaning, the views of it, right, it will be easier for them to take it as their competitive advantage, to get more and more new customers, new products, or new businesses, for example. Yeah. Okay. So next, yeah, that would be our starting point to see what could be the general views about security. But to go in that, what approach towards the circular economy model that they have applied in their businesses. Okay, it quite surprised to see here, because we do have another options here that we ask the question. We do have an option on the not considering this as well, don't know. Yeah, and looking at the sustainability thinking, we don't expect that there could be, you know, respondents that answer this not considering as well, don't know. But happen to be in our survey, yeah, we have 3% from the electrical electronics company do claim that they actually not considering to have the circular economy in their firm. Yeah, as well for the rubber. Yeah, as well for the services. And not to say that, you know, there's a few, about 8% from the food and beverages, as well 7% from the services say they not even know about circular economy. Yeah. So we would be more expect the three categories of already adopted, moving towards, or trying to learn about this circular economy. This is the more focused group that we expect that the firms, you know, what that we have surveyed to be confined into these three categories. But unfortunately, we do have also firms that declare they're not considering, as well they're not even know about the circular economy. So what I would suggest that MPC can do is to do more and more promotions to let all the players industry at least aware the aspect of this circularity, yeah, and at least do have some kind of interest to be part of this approach, yeah, to have a good or well or holistic, you know, implementation of this circular economy. We need to have some good response from the industry. We might say the reasons why they are not even know, because they not even have informations at all about the circular economy, due to the less promotions, less success stories, for example. So therefore, we need to approach them to make sure that, you know, at the end, we don't have any more firms that actually not interested with this CE, as well, not even know about what is CE. Yeah? I would love to go and detail out a little bit on the findings here. It shows that among the all these sectors, we love to see that the electrical electronics company, they actually moving towards that. 80% of them declare that actually they are moving towards the CE. It indicates a very good kind of progress, yeah, that we have for the sector of the electrical electronics companies, as well for the automotive, as well for the plastic and resin, as well for the palm oil products, right? So in a way, part of parcel, they do have some kind of interest to go more deeper in, you know, implementing this CE as a whole in their company. And happy to share that 58% from the palm oil sectors, 69% from the food and beverages, as well 67% from the energy have already adopted CE framework. Then triggers me, you know, if they say that they have implemented or adopted CE framework, but what would be the initiatives? What kind of initiatives? What kind of tools? What kind of business models that they have used in order to help them to be in this CE framework? Yeah. So therefore, we need to explore on that deeper, you know, based on the three categories of the approach. Yeah, already adopted, moving towards, as well the trying to learn. Yeah, and this is very good findings, because why? At least we know somewhere outside in industry there are also firms that not even know about CE, not even want to considering about CE approach to be embedded in their business. Yeah, next. Okay, so we do have the three categories, yeah, already adopted, moving towards, and then trying to learn about the CE. But what would be the factors driving them? Yeah, what would be the factors actually motivates them to go for these circular economy practices. So what we have actually listed in our survey, only 7 aspects of the factors, which are on the achieve cost savings, enhance the green credentials, yeah, respond to competitors' actions, respond towards the revenue or profit margin, respond to the customer demand, move towards the circular economy model as well, to respond to the limitations of the raw materials from the natural resources. And we found that, you know, quite interesting, the findings, yeah. Along the way, people are more concerned about what? You know, looking at the 3 categories of the firms, yeah, we have actually classified them into already adopted, moving towards, as well the trying. And you can see different categories will have different factors that drives them towards the circular economy. And most important, if we focus on the already adopted, right, their concern is more on what? Respond to the competitors' actions. Perhaps in their cycle, most of the players already have or moving towards the circular economy, so they need also have some kind of urgency, yeah, to respond to that, to be more competitive rather than they just be at their own kind of level, yeah. So this would be the good you know, indicators. It shows that, you know, because of pressure by the competitors that put them, you know, why they have to be in this circular economy. Whereas if you look into here, they also more concerned about the response to the customer demand. Again, we can see in the real life, if there is no customer, there is no business, because the businesses are depending on the customer. If customers are demanding on the green product, demanding on the sustainable product, companies need to be more proactive to take that as their opportunity to get that advantage, yeah. So along the way, this for those who are in the circular economy, they took it as one of the main drivers towards that CE, yeah. Along the way, you know, they do have this circular economy model. And looking at those that trying to learn about the CE, they are more concerned about what? Dollar sign on the economic perspective, which try to achieve cost saving, as well try to respond to the profit margin. Because of these 2 aspects that drives them, why they need to learn and more understand about the circular economy, so that they can be more interested to join and get into this circular economy agenda. Yeah, so different categories of players, different categories of firms that we can look into, and they do have different aspect of drivers or factors that moving towards their circular economy thinking, yeah. Okay, next. Moving along, what would be the more interesting here, we are divided, we try to make it more specific, looking at individual sector. Among all the 8 sectors, which one would be the most important factors for them to go with this circular economy? And you know, we can see different sectors will have different drivers. Yeah, for example, for you know, I think there's some kind of missing here. Yeah? The legend for the industry. Yeah. Okay, we can go to the next slide, for example. Yeah. So these are all 8 industries, and to conclude, what are those main factors, the top one for each of these industry, I have actually summarized that into this next. Yeah, into this summary. Yeah, so we do have 8 responders, 8 categories of sectors. Yeah, and I have chosen the 3 top from all the 7 drivers, you know, that drives them towards the circular economy. And we can see for the electrical and electronics sector, they are concerned about customer demand. Yeah, again, yeah, we can see the some kind of relationship. Yeah, they are the more adopted, yeah, for the CE approach. And because why? They are concerned with the customer demand. Yeah, for them might be more important to look at the benefit of the end user, you know, to respond to the customers' demand. Yeah, and then they enhance the green credentials as well to respond to the pressure on the revenue. Right, unlike on the automotive, yeah, they more responded into the aspects of competitions, to get the competitive advantage. They need to respond to the competitors' pressure. Yeah, 70% say that this is the most important drivers that drive them towards the circular economy, and following that, respond to customer demand as well to enhance the green credentials. Same goes to the EE. Yeah, and then I would go for rubber. Yeah, for rubber, yeah, the top three, they are more concerned on the natural resources, and we understand. Yeah, we understand because rubber is really connected to the natural resources. Yeah, so for them, why they are what they are moving towards this circular economy, because they respond to the issues of limitations of the natural resources. If we keep using it in the future, we might not have any more natural resources. Yeah, and then following that, again the same. Yeah, to enhance the green credentials as well to respond to the customer demand. Yeah, I think most of the sectors, they do have the same factors, the top drivers why they are going to this CE. Same goes to the services as well. Yeah, so what we can summarize from all these findings from the different sectors, what would be the best or the most important drivers that we have to look into? Yeah, next. It can be concluded, yeah, next slide please. Yeah, it can be concluded there are top 4 factors that driving firms or driving companies to go for the circular economy. It can be the concerns about the natural resources, move towards the circular economy model, and then respond to the competitors' actions, to the competitors' pressure, as well to respond the customer demand. I would love to discuss further about these top 4 factors, because why? If you look into, yeah, these all are quite connected with the views of the circularity. It is about how we are trying to reduce the carbon footprint, yeah, because we are so concerned. The more that we are using the natural resources, the more we are not aware the importance of the raw materials, right? Then would be a problem to the as a whole our environment. Yeah, and then of course they need to move towards the circular economy model. Yeah, we want to give some kind of guidelines, what can be done in achieving the performance of the circular economy. I think that will be MPC task, yeah, to look into on that. Yeah, and then we cannot deny, yeah, the importance of the competitive pressure as well the customer demand. So because why? We know, if we are not doing anything, if we just take it lightly, the demand from the customers, the competitors, then it will be hard for us, yeah, to be sustained in the business. Because why? Now the think tank of doing business is to integrate or to embed, yeah, the element of the sustainability thinking into the business principles. Okay, next. Yeah, okay. Not only that, looking at drivers, we also interested to see what could be the drivers, yeah, what could be the barriers, because challenging, doing something new quite challenging to most of the firms, right? So what are those challenges? What are those barriers? We have identified there are 23 barriers that we have listed, yeah, and they have to rank, among all these barriers, which would be the most could be very challenging to them. And we also divided the categories of firms into those that have adopted, those that have that moving along towards the CE, as well to those actually try to learn to these CE principles. Yeah? And we can see quite difference in terms of the barriers. Yeah, so we take example. Yeah, for those who actually trying to learn more about this circular economy, they do claim a very significant response. They say that it's about difficulty assessing the suitable financing. I think because of that reason, that put them hold why they are not going for CE. Hard for them to get supports in terms of financing. Yeah, that's why they are keep searching, keep looking, keep learning to get the best way how they can go in doing this circular economy. Yeah, as well they do have concern about lack of evidence in terms of profitability. So the success stories need to be created in order to convince, once you are in this circular economy, you won't you will be achieving lots of impacts by doing that. It will be a long run kind of viability. It's good for the companies. But then because of lack of evidence, lack of success stories, they put them in hold again. Put them on hold again. Why they're not taking, fast way to be involved in the circular economy as a way that they look into it as opportunity. Yeah. And then again, absence of the government pressure. So they don't see there's some kind of urgency because there's no pressure from the government. I'm okay with my business. I do have my loyal customers. I do have my committed suppliers. Why do I have to venture into this new circular economy? And government not even pressure me. Yeah, I'm doing okay in my business. So that could be another reason why put them on hold to go for this CE. Unlike if you go and look deeper on those actually have already adopted the CE framework, they are more concerned about what? They are concerned again, yeah. They also concerned about the financing, yeah. I think the element here on the financing aspect should not be taken lightly, yeah, because most of the respondents do claim, yeah, significant response about this barrier, yeah. They do claim about lack of evidence of profitability as well, right? And they are more say that dominant position of key market players, and perception of high business risk. So for them, this could be also as another challenges for them, how they can be dominant to be in the market, that doing a CE would be putting them in a very high business risk. Yeah, but again, once you venture into this circular economy and you get benefit of it, in the long run, either in the short term, so it will be something that can help the company to be more sustained, can help the company to go more competitive, yeah, to get new products, new business or new market. They need to venture into this, yeah. Okay, next. Following all these barriers, we can see also issues sort of like high investment, yeah, difficulty recovering materials for recycling. Yeah, okay. I will go to this barrier, yeah, the aspect of difficulty recovering materials for recycling. Hard for the companies to get materials to be recycled. What would be the reason? Because the reason would be coming from the customers. If customers are not involved, are not concerned, are not interested to have the loop, yeah, to be written back those the used product, unlike just be disposed in the garbage, right? So because of this issue, they hard to get the materials to be recycled. For those who have adopted CE, they found that this could be another challenge, for them, that how they can be leverage, yeah, how they can leverage, yeah, their CE model in their business. So the supply chain need to be cooperative enough. It is not about one sole player. Has to be along the supply chain, need to have some supports to the agenda of the sustainability thinking. That's why I said, yeah, it is about the whole chain. So if the end user understand about the importance of it, they do have this sustainability thinking in their mind, definitely we can achieve whatever we are targeting in terms of the CE objectives. Yeah. Okay, next.
Prof, this
Okay.
very
So,
interesting one.
yeah.
When you talk about difficulty of recovering the recycling materials, yeah, for the industries, where there is no it is not an inclusive kind of ecosystem that whereby the
Yeah.
connection between the customers and the industry that is impedes the recycling materials recovery, and that is why I think the recycling price is relatively high. Yeah. For those materials that is going to be used in the circular economy. I believe that it's where it's related to the question from our attendees here. He asked, how can we deal with the sectors where recycling price is higher than the value of the recycled material itself? Can you give a brief response on this?
How do we what? Again?
How can we deal with the sectors that they are facing the recycling price is higher compared to the value of the recycled materials? Means that it is really important. Of course, in supporting the circular economy, we need to value these recycled materials very much. I mean, in terms of not on the monetary perspective, but in terms of taking care of the environment and etc., which is, I believe, that it is not in the price of the products.
Yeah, that's why I say, the value of the products that you are proposing to your customers is not only coming from the dollar sign, yeah. How people are perceived about the product itself. Some people, they don't bother to get a product with the cost of 10 ringgit. Even you can get 1 ringgit from other supplier because of the value that they have been created into that product, which customers appreciate so much. So they don't even bother, to pay higher for the recycling things, because that's actually what customers are wish to have from the product, for example. Yeah. So because of, you can see, those are kind of barriers. Then I think the reverse logistic model need to be well developed, right? So because we need to have this all in place to make it successful. Yeah. Okay. Next. Okay, if you can see here, there are different categories, barriers for different sectors. And how do we conclude this? Yeah, next. Yeah, what we can conclude, the top 3 of the barriers among the sectors, which quite consistent, among across the industry. Yeah, we can see, for example, EE, because they are most adopted, the model of CE. They argue, the absence of the governmental pressure would be one of the reason, that put them as a challenge. Yeah, and difficulty assessing suitable financing, again, is about financial, and lack of process design. Yeah, lack of process design, because the process itself need to design, the product. They need to think of something, what could be the sustainable design, that when they do have the products ready, whether that product is easily to be returned, to be recycled, or to reproduce. In a way, to do that, it has to be started from the design stage, right? And they lack of that kind of capabilities. Yeah. And then in terms of, if we go deeper on the automotive, the lack of evidence on the profitability, high investment as well. They're difficult, to get the recovering materials from the recycle. Right? We can see, in the real life, all these automotive, I think as end customers, we don't even care, to be written back those products that we have used to be recycled. Yeah. And then rubber, little bit touch on the technological infrastructure that we have to look into. Yeah. And then on the plastic resins, lack of knowledge management system. Yeah. And then I would say, mostly roughly they're quite consistent among the industry. For example, here, palm oil products, lack of regulatory framework. So it could be another challenge, because why? We do have the circular economy for plastics. It is well developed, 2-3 years back. Yeah, but we don't have yet for other sectors. Perhaps we also need to do the same for other sectors, to look into deeper. Yeah, what are those things that need to be done with regards to CE in that particular industry? Yeah. Okay. Next. Yeah. Next, to summarize, what would be the top 5 barriers? I would say here, high investment, right? from what we can conclude or summarize from the cross-examine the whole industry, so we can see high investment at the top, and then difficulty in getting materials for recycling, yeah, and then lack of technological infrastructure. Following that would be difficult to get suitable financing, as well lack of regulatory framework. So these are the 5 top barriers that we can see that challenge the firms, how to go about in doing this circular economy. And we can further categorize them into 3 different aspects: on the financial, on the organizational capacities, as well on the ecosystem related. Right, as you said just now, right, we need to have holistic ecosystem, and government is part of the ecosystem for the industry. So the barriers itself can be from the internal point of view, can be as well external point of view. So we can digest further what could be the recommendations that we can put forward to let these barriers not anymore as a challenge to the companies to go for the CE. So we can get or recommend the solutions, yeah, for those challenges, yeah. Okay, next. Okay, following these drivers as well the challenges, now the most important to know, what are those circular economy business models that have been adopted. So what we did, we used 11 business models, comprised from the build to last, circular supplies, product as a service, performance as a service, return, recycle, remanufacture, upgrade, repair, resell, and share. Why? Where these 11 business models coming from? If you look back at the supply chain, right, from the input, process, and the output, and all these 11 business models are being captured into this input, process, and output. So the circularity thinking need to be throughout, from input, process, as well the output, yeah. Okay, next. Okay, now the most interesting is like to answer the question of that big question mark. Yeah, so to what extent? So they do claim they have actually adopted the CE framework, but what are those related business model that they have applied in their context? Yeah, so next. Okay, we do have here the findings that we have based on respective industry, yeah, for EE, automotive, rubber, and so on and so forth. And you can see all in the circles are those business models. And different sectors will have different level of adoptions of the circular economy that we have identified altogether 11 models. Yeah. So this is the 3-1. I think will be very hard to look clear, yeah, from this slide. I do have the summarized, I do have the summary version at the end. Okay, can we go to the next slide? Yeah. Okay, energy, plastic and resins, palm oil products. Yeah. Next. Food and beverages as well the services. So different sectors, we can see significant response, yeah, saying that they do have a different level of circular economy business model that been adopted. Okay, the next on the summary. Yeah. Okay, what would be the top 3 business models of CE that have been adopted? Yeah. So for EE, they are more looking at the circular supplies. They are depending on the materials, right? For the EE, so they are more looking at the circular supplies. They're looking at the upgrade. They're looking at the recycle and upcycle. I think it's quite accepted, yeah, because they are more on the televisions, for example, right? So it can be upgraded, it can be recycled, and so on. Yeah, automotive, they are more concerned on the remanufacturing as well performance as a service. So they put element, they are more emphasized on the element of the customers satisfaction. They say that their performance is part of the service given to the customers as a value that they are actually proposing to the customers. As well for the rubber, yeah, circular supplies, upgrade, repair, maintain, plastic, upgrade, circular supplies, recycle. I think if you look here, more or less quite standard across the industry. Unlike for the services, we understood the nature of the industry itself. It is more on the services, so they are more keen on the performance. They are more keen on the product that they are, not the product, actually the services. They have to be they have to be perceived as part of their services given to the customers. So to conclude, what would be the top business model related to CE that have been adopted to most of the industries? Next. Yeah. Repair and maintain. Yep. Upgrade. Circular supplies. Recycle and upcycle. And last but not least, they're also more concerned about the performance. Right. So I would say the last part, the last model which reflected on the performance as a service is how you please your customer. Right. At the end, it's about customers' demand. To fulfill the customer's demand. In a way, you can see there's some kind of connections between the model as well the drivers, how they be link up, to support each other. Okay, next, Dr. Daniel, how many more minutes that we have?
Can you conclude within 5 minutes, bro?
Okay, I do have the last one would be on the impact that we have surveyed. Can we go to the conclusion to make it fast? Yeah. The before that, the previous one, yeah. So the previous one. Oh no, my dear. No. Previous. Yeah, this one. So these are the summary to conclude the top 3 of the impact, from DCE that have to the firms, right? And I would love to share, it's all about market share, it is about creating a new market, it's about creating a new customers, a new demand. Yeah. And on the operational side, it says that you want to reduce the operating expenses, to increase sales, to increase the demand. And to conclude the whole thing, what would be the top 5 would be next? Is about what? Increase sales, increase market share, increase gross profit, reduce operating expenses, and reduce production costs. So it is like benefit, yeah. By having the CE, eventually you can increase the sales, you can increase your market share, you can increase your profit. Because why? We have pleased our customer. Yeah. Next. Okay. The next session will be, the emerging opportunities. This actually will be more contributed to the MPC as the owner of the project. Yeah, what will be the things that can be done to put forward in their circular economy agenda. Next. Okay, we have identified there are 11 emerging opportunities that the more that we concern now is to help the industry how to leverage the opportunities of this CE thinking is like to create the indicators for measurement for the decision making. If the players not even know their status in terms of the sustainability thinking, so how they are performing in terms of CE, how they are deciding what would be the best tools for them, what would be the best directions moving towards the CE. So the indicators need to be developed. This among the important points that need to be forwarded to MPC, and not to say about the tools and checklists. So people are now trying to learn more about CE. We have to give them a clear picture. What are those tools that confine to the CE adoption? What are those activities that need to be done to make it more clearer? Also the checklist, let alone, for them to check as self-assessment to what have been done, to what not have been done, and what can be proposed in the future to be implemented. So this would be, you can have other things like the role of IT, for example, IoT, artificial intelligence. These are all IT which will be support the CE growth. Yeah. Okay, next. Okay, I think to be success in the circular economy, you have to get it done. Set the approach, which approach, set your CE model, get to know what are those tools, what are those checklists that they can assess themselves. They need to work in team, right? Because supply chain is not about individual company. When you go for the sustainability thinking across the supply chain, they need to work in team. They have to start small scale. For those who are not considering, for those who are not know even what is the meaning of circular economy, they have to start somewhere, just a small scale. If they don't really have the competencies, they don't really have the capabilities, they need to collaborate. Need to collaborate with those who have successful to be, to get this CE done in the company, and then they have to track the progress. The indicators that will be developed by MPC later on can be used to help them to assess their performance, and MPC need to recognize them if they are achieving, on the sustainability maturity. So they have to be recognized, then put motivations for them to go further and further doing this improvement in their CE thinking. Yeah. So last but not least, for the last slide that we have here, next will be on the way forward. Yeah, way forward. I would say this will be the framework that will be going deeper to look into what would be the the helps from the financing, what will be the helps from the regulatory supports, what are the capacity gaps that actually we can help the players, technology as well the coordination, and those things if already been managed. So we need to know what are the tools, what are those checklists. Companies are still blurred for them who are not really yet into the CE approach. They need to be guided. What are the tools that are appropriate for them to start with, to implement the CE, and we can provide them with a checklist. What are those things that need to be done? What are those things actually that can be further enhanced actually from what they have done currently in the organizations? And well, definitely, if you not assess the performance, you not even know their level. So once they have implemented, the indicators need to well establish. So indicators are varies. If you go to any articles, research being done, many articles, many authors have proposed different kind of indicators, and different indicators reflected for different sectors. So what MPC can be, can do is to establish, to develop at least a standard, indicators for CE as a starting point to help the industry players to know where are their stand in terms of the CE. For what? To have a better decision making and to have a better targets achievement, right? And towards the end, the three bottom line that we are looking into, economic, environment as well as society, can be achieved from the sustainability thinking. That's all my presentation today. Thank you so much. Yep. Next slide will be the, yeah. Am I timely enough?
Yeah, good, on time. Well, thank you so much, Prof. Suhaiza, for this very informative presentation based on its evidence, yeah, based on the research that's been conducted by Prof. Herself, and it's very good to have some key takeaways that I can take up from this presentation. For as what Prof mentioned just now, this circular economy should be a ecosystem that comprehensive, that we need to be supported by the industry as well as the consumers. Yeah, of course, the industry to adopt a new value in their business operation that really facilitate the sustainable thinking without compromising their customer satisfaction, right? And also for the customers, this is not a sole play by the industry, but they also need to adopt this sustainable, responsible consumption, which is they need to change their mindsets that support sustainability thinking as well, right? So that we have an overarching kind of circular economic thinking that involve industry, involve the government, and also the society. And from this research, we can see that the profitability from the CE is emerging because there's a growing demand from the customers towards products and etc., which is a new opportunity for the businesses, right? And of course, it is also worth mentioning that the business also encounter some barriers in terms of uptaking this circular economy business model. Financial issues, skills shortages, and also how to transform this circular economy agenda into profits, right? So all of this has been taken by Prof in the very last slide on the way forward. How can the government address these issues? And of course, MPC will take this point towards moving the circular economy. And of course, our government also now in the process of developing our next 12th National Plan, on which green agenda is one of these things, that pillars that should be that will be taken care of in the very next our next 5 years plan.
Yeah,
right.
Looking
so
forward.
this is very important presentation, Prof. We are not we're just on this very starting point of this sustainability agenda. So we a lot of things to go on. And
it's a new concept. It's a new concept among the industry. So MPC has to play a very important role to give them a guideline, to how to go about.
To move on this sustainability discussion, MPC also will conduct the upcoming session on webinar on sustainability, the integration formula. Okay, how to understand the sustainability framework and how to implement projects sustainably and to avoid some failures. And hopefully all the attendees, you can spread this information to your colleagues and etc., so that we can have more audience to really attract their interest on uptaking sustainability in their business model. And we have no much time for this today's session, so I would like to thank again our speaker, Prof. Suhaiza, for her time and also for this very beautiful presentation, and also for the attendees. Thank you for joining us until the end session, and hope to see you in the very next webinar. And thank you so much, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good day.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye.
Okay, terima kasih Prof. Terima kasih Dr. Daniel. So mana-mana soalan yang kita tak sempat jawab tu, kita akan email pada Prof lah untuk reply.
Tak ada soalan ke?
Ada. Nanti kita
banyak.
Tak ada email nanti Prof. Okey.
Berapa banyak yang berapa banyak yang masuk Jumlah participant berapa? Hello.
Jumlah participant
berapa?
Prof, lepas ni kita reply Prof. Saya leave dulu.
Okay, tak apa. Okay, bye. Okay, thank you Zita, thank you Dr. Daniel. Nice meeting you. Okay, bye.
Terima kasih Prof. Dr.